achieved.
So the end of 2017 is officially upon us, and UFC, there's got to be some red flags popping up that I don't know if 2018 will see a turnaround. Will it see some kind of recognition and adjustments made? You know, we've seen with fighters opting to leave and go to other promotions. We've seen constant issues with injuries and fighters not willing to step up and take fights on short notice, or at least, you know, recently, especially with the Rivera-Moraes situation, where Moraes offering to take in and probably realizing he's better off to wait and take the fight on the best terms possible. And now what we keep seeing in the media is bad ratings. The majority of recent events have done poorly. As far as viewership is concerned, people are not tuning in to watch these events. Is it because we're lacking in star quality? You know, George St. Pierre did fantastic. The rest of the cards, you know, Holloway Aldo did not do well. The Fox event did not do well. You know, the Ultimate Fighter finale did not do well. Are we lacking in star power? Are people just getting tired of it? Are people not interested? Is there too much saturation? Is there an issue with just there's too much UFC? Oh, I missed this one, I'll catch the next one type attitude, or I'm not excited anymore. Do they need to go back to a format that would see them put on shows, only a handful of shows over a couple of months, over 2 months, to create some type of hype and expectation and desire to see these events? Because if you don't see it, you have to wait a little bit. You have to wait longer to see the next one. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know if 2018, we've seen, I keep saying I don't know because I don't. We did just recently see the UFC change some of the, and Reebok changed some of the pay scale gradings for sponsorship deals, up the money. They're also changing some of the expectations for fighters. No negotiations, just this is what's going on. So that's a kind of a step in the right direction. But again, will 2018 be the year where they say, hey, we got to make some major adjustments here, and going forward, we have to do things differently, or else we are in some serious trouble? We'll have to wait and see. Welcome back to Kamikaze Overdrive MMA Predictions. Always, I am your host, Scott Johnson. And on this episode of the show, we are breaking down the upcoming UFC 219 event, which will take place on December 30th from Paradise, Nevada, and feature the women's featherweight championship bout between Cris Cyborg and former bantamweight champion Holly Holm. I'll be giving you my 5 main card predictions, as is always the case. On this episode of the show, my preliminary picks will be available at kamikazeoverdrive.net. They're down to just 5 preliminary bouts now, so there's not a lot of fights going on this card, which is only a couple days away. I apologize for being late as far as getting this produced and posted. I've kind of been dealing with a bit of a voice issue, a bit of a sore throat, so that's kind of been causing some problems. And additionally, it's just the holiday season, so things get backed up a little bit. So thank you for understanding. The bet packs, you can purchase the final bet pack for $15, as always the case, or you can buy in for the next 2 months plus get this final show. And I think I've posted it for $75, which gives you a $45 savings, which is the equivalent of saving not 1, not 2, but 3, getting 3 free bet packs. So certainly, if you're considering investing long time into my predictions, which a lot of people do, jump on that opportunity, because the savings won't be as good next time around. So certainly take advantage of that. I'm coming off one of those shows where I did super well. I won the first 6 fights on the last event and then lost the last 5. It just went south quickly, and we were cashing in some money, and we did not do bad. Just we could have done amazing, and things just didn't close out the way we were wanting to. But again, that's the mixed martial arts. That's the world we live in as far as this competition is considered, because things are getting so tight and so good. It's very difficult to predict fights consistently. You can have an amazing night, and the next night's crap. You can have an amazing first half of the night, and the second half falls apart. You can be perfect one weekend and absolutely, completely off your ass the next weekend as far as your predictions are concerned. Hey, that's why it's fun and exciting. And on that note, let's get to that first main card prediction. We open things up in the UFC's welterweight division as the former interim champion, former WEC champion, the number 8th ranked fighter in the division, Carlos the Natural-Born Killer Condit, 30 wins and 10 losses. He returns to action, taking the 12th ranked fighter, Neil Magny, currently holding a record of 19 wins and 7 defeats. Now, what we have here is one fighter who has been so close, but simply unable to claim the undisputed UFC championship in Carlos Condit. The other one constantly wins fights, gets on rolls, has success, but there is a ceiling he continues to hit that prevents him from contending or getting a title eliminator type bout. He just cannot break through it. This could be one of his last opportunities to do so. Condit comes in having lost back-to-back fights, and he is just 2-5 over his last 7, but you look at 4 of those 5 losses, and they've come against either past or current champions, plus Damian Maia, who's recently fought for the title. one of the big issues with Condit is scaring a lot of people away and putting a lot of the sharps on Magny is he's contemplated retirement. He's talked about retirement. He's taken some time off of late, which we'll talk about momentarily. And that's putting a lot of people questioning his mindset coming into this fight. For Magny, he's coming off a submission loss to Rafael dos Anjos, which really knocked him back down a peg. But again, dos Anjos on the verge of fighting for the title as well. He did upset former champion Johnny Hendricks in kind of an oddball fight. I did have Magny to win that fight. He has 4-2 over his last 6 appearances. Physically, Magny 1 inch taller. Both guys are very tall for the division. He will have a 5-inch reach advantage, and Neil Magny is the younger man by 3 years. Now, Condit has been out of action for almost 16 months. And that last fight was less than 2 minutes, so not really much of a fight. You have to go all the way back to January of 2016 when he fought that barn burner against Robbie Lawler for the title that I felt he won. I predicted him to win. I felt he won. A lot of people felt he won, but Lawler walked away with his hand raised in that matchup. Obviously, the retirement talk's been a major concern. How focused is he for this matchup? How prepared is he for this matchup? We'll have to wait and see. I like Carlos Condit. He's a smart fighter. He's an intelligent man. I don't think he puts himself in a position in a fight that he doesn't think he can win simply because he's not prepared to do so. Now, both fighters are primarily striking-based competitors. They both have skills in the mat, but they're also quite vulnerable there, and a lot of times they lose fights, or at least have some of their lesser moments on the ground. Now, Magny has shown he can wrestle. He had 6 takedowns in his win over Kelvin Gastelum, 4 against Eric Silva, but his sub-defense is a major issue. He has been submitted 4 times, including 2 of his last 3 defeats. Carlos Condit is a very capable grappler, 13 submission wins overall, but he has not submitted an opponent since 2008 when he defended his WEC title and submitted Carlo Prater. He has had issues with being taken down. That's where his big issue has been, his takedown defense. He gave up 12 takedowns in a loss to Johnny Hendricks, 6 against Martin Kampmann, and 3 against Tyrone Woodley, the current champion. You know, of the two, Magny is the more likely to try and use his wrestling to control Condit, put him on the map, but this fight screams of a stand-up battle. Now, when you look at their stats, both fighters offer similar strikes landed per minute stats and similar strikes absorbed per minute stats. Condit has done it against better competition of late, but Magny's faced some pretty decent foes as well. I would say overall, Carlos Condit's chin it's very good. I'd say it's better. He has talked about being buzzed by Damian Maia, which has certainly raised some eyebrows. His only legit TKO loss is not legit at all. It was due to injury against Woodley, where his knee gave out. Where Neil Magny was stopped by Lorenz Larkin. He's been hurt several times. He was hurt by Gyunhoo Lim. He was hurt by Hector Lombard. We've seen him in some serious trouble at times. Condit has TKO'd or KO'd 5 of his last opponents in his victory. So it tells you that he's still very capable. He's very dangerous on the feet. So that certainly the edge goes to Condit in that scenario. Magny's getting much better at using his reach, which has been a factor in his success. He works behind his jab. He moves fairly well. But, I don't think it's going to be enough against the aggression of Carlos Condit, his ability to move forward. Condit is very good at waiting forward, slipping punches and countering. He also deals with pressure exceptionally well when he's under attack. He will use kicks, I think, to overcome the reach of Magny. And, again, that superior chin is going to allow him to move forward, take some damage, maybe not take some damage, but then get in firing range. Magny has also had a lot of success recently when his opponent's cardio starts to fade, and that's something, you look at a guy and you say he's winning fights because of it. Is that going to continue here? We saw it against Hector Lombard. We saw it against Eric Silva, Gyunhoo Lim, Alex Garcia, even Johnny Hendricks. Guys slowed down, allowed him to either get a stoppage victory or get back and take over the fight and win a decision. That's not going to happen with Carlos Condit. Condit won't have those issues. He's always in good shape. The layoff could be a factor, but again, normally his cardio is fantastic. I'm banking up being very good here as well. I think Carlos Condit represents the ceiling that Magny has failed to overcome in his last couple of fights. I think it could be a very close fight, but ultimately Condit eventually hurts him during exchange, and my prediction is Carlos Condit to defeat Neil Magny by TKO. Fight number 2 in the main card takes place in the women's strawweight division. Is the 6th ranked and surging Cynthia Calvillo, undefeated at 6-0, takes on the former champion, number 9th ranked Carla, the Cookie Monster. Esparza currently holding a record of 13 wins and 4 losses. Again, I apologize for my voice. I certainly can hear a difference, and I'm kind of fighting it a little bit, so bear with me. Now, again, interesting scenario as far as where these fighters are at. We have a former champion in Esparza who defeated the current champion to get her title. She's looking to get back in contention, and she's taking on a very popular prospect who's on the rise, who I would say is, she's really being pushed and groomed by the UFC. You can really feel that for a future shot at the title, and a win over Carla Esparza might not get her that opportunity, but it gets her very, very close. Now, Esparza has won back-to-back fights, beating Moroz and Juliana Lima. She did lose a very close, contentious split decision to Randa Marcos since dropping the title. So she's 2-1 since losing her title. For Calvillo, she subbed Cooper and Pearl Gonzalez in 2 defeats, and then took a decision from JoJo Calderwood in a big fight for her that really put her on the map over an established and very dangerous opponent. Now, Calvillo is still very much a work in progress as far as her striking is concerned, but she's a little bit wild when she opens up. But again, it's something that as a young developing fighter with just 6 pro fights, a very extensive amateur background, though, keep that in mind. She is working to improve and get to the point where she can rely on her striking as much as she does her grappling. She uses a lot of movement. She bounces around. She did get tagged by JoJo a couple of times, even hurt. Kicks were giving her an issue in that matchup. But she does decent with a popping of the left jab and throwing, in volume-based bursts where she kind of, works her way around, and boom, moves forward and attacks. But her bread and butter is her grappling. Training on a Team Alpha Male, she has excellent takedown defense. She has a very good job of stuffing her opponent's shot and then countering takedown attempts into superior position, especially taking the back. When she fought Pearl Gonzalez, she was taken down, but she almost instantly rotated to her back. She'll attack off her back with submissions if she doesn't get out of the position initially. She'll use sub attempts to either get out or look for the finish. It's certainly what she's very capable of. And again, that could be the case against Carla Esparza. She's good in scramble, and her transition sequences are very, very strong. And that's an area that Randall Marcos gave Carla Esparza a lot of trouble, made the takedowns for a wrestler very undesirable. And when you do that, you take away part of a big chunk of what makes them good. We look again at what Calvillo look for to use that front headlock position to shut down takedowns and possibly set up chokes. Again, Team Alpha Male known for their chokes. And Esparza, she's going to shoot for takedowns. There's no denying that. She's a wrestling-heavy fighter. It has been her bread and butter. She averages 4.79 takedowns per fight. She landed 6 against Moroz, 4 against Marcos, 5 against Lima. You go back to one of her Thug Rose, she landed 5. Just one in her loss to Joanna when she lost the title, and that was pretty much the be-all and end-all of that fight. She got lit up on the feet, significantly. Her focus on scoring takedowns and maintaining top control is leading to either a decision. That's where she wants to be. On top, grinding it out, looking for a decision, or possibly a late finish like she did against Rose, if she can exhaust her opponent with a point they cannot fight back. As I said, Marcos was incredibly active off her back. Carla was moving around holding top position, but again, Randa was attacking and making it a tough position to hold. On the feet, Marcos had a lot of success bouncing around, giving Esparza trouble, preventing her from getting into wrestling range consistently and making her kind of go for some desperation, longer shots that had mixed results when she did go for them. We did see Carla throw a solid right hand when pushing forward. She has won fights with her striking, but again, it's not her strength. I think Calvillo is going to use her movement here, keep Carla on the outside. We'll scramble to some bad spots when Carla shoots in for takedowns. We'll probably see Carla land a takedown or two, but eventually Carla's going to be forced to strike, and that's not going to be enough for her to win this fight. I think her activity rate is not going to be enough to match Calvillo. I think Calvillo needs to be active off her back. If she does get taken down, score with the judges like Randa Marcos did, and my prediction is Cynthia Calvillo to defeat Carla Esparza by decision. Our next fight is the fight that got bumped up from the prelims to replace a matchup that had a lot of potential. Initially, it was Rivera against Cruz, then it became Rivera against Lineker, and then talked about being Rivera against Moraes. John Dodson threw his hat in there. There are all kinds of matchups we could have had in this spot. And Hooker Diakiese is a good matchup, but it's not the matchup we certainly were looking forward to. Nonetheless, we're in the UFC's lightweight division as Dan the Hangman Hooker, fighting out of New Zealand, 15 wins and 7 losses, takes on the bone crusher Marc Diakiese, originally from the Congo, fighting out of the UK now with a record of 12 wins and a single defeat. Now, Diakiese is coming off his first career loss, which usually leads to a rebound as fighters become much more focused and re-energized to get back in the win column and make some corrections in situations that they were overlooking before that hadn't cost them yet. It was a split decision against Jakar Close. I picked Close in the upset. It was a great night. That was a huge night for me. He is 3-1 overall in the UFC. For Hooker, he's coming off a knockout victory over Ross Pearson, a massive upset, or not an upset victory, but a big win for Pearson, or for Hooker. I had Pearson in that fight. Pearson did very well in the first round, but Hooker ultimately took him out. Certainly the biggest win of the young man's career. He has alternated wins and losses in the UFC over his 7-fight UFC career for a total record of 4 wins and 3 defeats. Physically, Hooker 2 inches taller. He'll have a 2-inch reach advantage. Diakiese is the younger man by 3 years. Now, Hooker, despite his reach, does some of his best work in close with short punches and elbows, and usually he bites his opponent in there, but also allows them to get in and hit him. He opens himself up, taking a lot of damage when he does this, and he moves forward and gets tagged a lot. He averages 4.05 strikes landed per minute. Gives up 4.73 strikes absorbed per minute. So he's actually getting hit more often than he's actually hitting his opponent, which is certainly concerning. He has a good straight left, not enough volume overall, though, to take decisions. We've seen that. He's kind of a one-and-done fighter. When he fought Knight was throwing 6 and 7 strikes and landing 3 or 4 of them, and we saw Hooker not returning enough to match that or even come close to that, and that adds up over a full fight. Lots of lateral movement for Hooker. His hands tend to be down, moving his head though. He's loose with his defense, but he has struggled at times with pressure, and especially when forced to back up and defend. Pearson's having success outworking him in the first round prior to the finish in round 2. Takedown defense, 75% for the Hangman, but he can be taken down, and he's not a huge wrestling threat of his own. Overall, he's 1-5 in decisions. Lack of volume certainly makes it hard to outpoint opponents on the scorecards, and again, when he gives up the odd takedown here or there, and doesn't match it and return it, it certainly costs him. Now, Diakiese is a dynamic striker on the other side of things. He throws slick combinations, hard leg kicks, counters when his opponent comes forward. He's got a lot of power, as we've seen. Look for him to switch stances. He throws a variety of kicks overall. He's hard to defend against because he throws so many different attacks. And he's a massive right hand, which we saw him take out Teemu Packalén with. He's very quick, very aggressive, steps into his attacks and then backs up, pushes away to try and, set up and look for the next opportunity to attack. And we have seen him at times calm down or slow down a little bit as fights progress, but still he's very dangerous. Diakiese, for the most part, is vulnerable to being taken down. We've seen at times where guys have had success pressuring him, putting him on the mat, putting him in the clinch. Close obviously had some success in the clinch, landed 3 takedowns, and that got him the nod in a very close fight. But ultimately, Hooker doesn't have that wrestling threat to capitalize on Diakiese's biggest vulnerability. He doesn't have the volume either to really outwork him in a big fight. I don't know about Diakiese's chin. It's been pretty good so far. Hooker's chin's been pretty good as well. I think over 3 rounds, Diakiese's going to be the more dynamic and more active striker, more impactful as well against a guy who, for the most part, is very hittable. And my prediction is Marc Diakiese to take out Dan Hooker, defeating him by decision. In the co-main event of the evening, we were in the UFC's lightweight division for an absolutely massive fight as the number 2 ranked Khabib, the Eagle Nurmagomedov, returns to action, putting his undefeated record on the line at 24 wins and no losses. He takes on the 4th ranked Edson Jr. Barboza of Brazil, the current record of 19 wins and 4 defeats. Now, Nurmagomedov is still considered by many people to be the best fighter in the division, possibly the uncrowned champion with his win over Rafael dos Anjos, but people are incredibly frustrated by his lack of recent activity. Conversely, Barboza has won 3 consecutive fights, taking out Anthony Pettis, Gilbert Melendez, and that highlight reel knockout of Beneil Dariush. He is trying to earn a long-awaited title shot. He's been one of the better fighters in the division for a couple years now, looking for that opportunity to get that fight, and this would be it, the signature fight to get him an opportunity to fight for the title. Basically, Barboza 1 inch taller. He'll have a 5-inch reach advantage. Nurmagomedov is the younger man by 2 years. Now, Nurmi's been out of action for 13 months. He fought twice in 2016, which might come as a shock to many people. None in 2015. He's just one of these guys who's been incredibly inactive. You have to go back to 2014 where he was a little bit more active and really cutting up the UFC. The issues with inactivity haven't caught up to him yet when he does step in the cage finally, but you wonder at what point and against what caliber of opponent is Edson Barboza does it catch up to him. In this matchup, it's incredibly evident where these guys want to fight. Barboza is a Muay Thai striker. He wants it on the feet. Nurmagomedov, the wrestler and Sambo man, he wants it on the mat. Now, Michael Johnson hurt Nurmagomedov early in that matchup. He had him in some trouble, showed he is human, and there's been a lot of concerns. I've had it, and a lot of people have looked at Nurmagomedov and said his head positioning, his striking is flawed. He raises his chin under fire. It's going to cost him against the right striker. And again, is Edson Barboza that man? Quite possibly he is. Barboza is absolutely lethal when he can set up his strikes, when he sets up his offense. He's got that, kick-heavy offensive attack. But the question is that going to be an issue against a guy who's looking to catch a limb and take him down? I like the way Edson has his hands up, ready to strike. He's quick to deliver his punches. Left hook to the body, right body kick combination. Very lethal, unorthodox combination, but still very good. He'll pump that left jab out routinely. Again, offers those quick kicks. Nice left hook counter versus Anthony Pettis was routinely landing. He has had issues, though, with pressure. Michael Johnson had pressured him. Tony Ferguson pressured him. He seems to have gotten better at dealing with it and actually employing it himself. But again, this is going to be a different type of pressure he's dealing with here. And Nurmagomedov is going to put a ton of pressure on him. He's going to move forward. He's going to really, look to crush him with the weight of his wrestling, with the weight of his forward motion. He's going to try and shut down that kicking offense with that forward push. And, he has shown he only needs 1 takedown. He gets his hands on you, you're going for a ride. Barboza's got an 86% takedown defense. He's never given up more than 2 takedowns in a fight. That, my friends, I believe is about to change, or at least that'll be tested here. Nurmi averages 6.15 takedowns per fight, 48% completion rate. The reason it's a little bit lower than a lot of people would expect, he just keeps driving. Initially, if he gets stopped, he goes for another one, and eventually puts you on the mat, and then it's over. He offers a variety of takedown techniques. He's exhausting, and he's hard to fend off. He's overwhelming with what he does. That top position pressure and that continued flow of strikes just wears guys out. He never stops working. Again, one takedown, he controls the round. It's his round. Once he establishes that round, he wins that round. If you survive that round, that's fantastic. And against a lot of guys, fighters will say, okay, I'm off my back. I'm back up. Let's recalibrate. Let's go out and get this next round. But against Nurmagomedov, there's a couple factors that start to kick in here. First, you are exhausted. That constant avalanche of offense that he throws at you just wears you out. And the positional changes, the constantly moving forward, trying to get a better position, it just wears fighters out. Secondly, you're on the feet, you're tired, now you're second-guessing your offense. What do I throw that keeps me from getting taken down? I can't throw kicks anymore. You become one-dimensional. You start to hesitate. It makes it easier for him to close the distance and take you down because you're thinking more about what he's doing than what you should be doing. Now, there are concerns over Nurmagomedov's weight-cutting issues. Can he push for a full 15 minutes if he meets some resistance early on? Will he wear out? For Edson Barboza to win this matchup, he needs to find that key moment when Nurmagomedov is moving forward and land a counter, either to take him out altogether or to force him to hesitate by hurting him and then go to work. That's crucial. Barboza, on the other hand, he's got a bit of a chin issue as well. He's been hurt before. He's been dropped in fights, and I just can't see him holding up on the mat with that avalanche of offense we're going to see. I think Nurmagomedov is simply too aggressive. He's too much of a threat from top position. He will get Edson down. He will overwhelm him with strikes, and my prediction is Khabib Nurmagomedov to defeat Edson Barboza by TKO. Finally, we move to the main event of the evening, and it's for the women's featherweight title as the champion, Cris Cyborg, 18 wins, 1 loss, and 1 no contest. Puts it on the line against the number 2 ranked fighter in the division, the Preacher's daughter, Holly Holm. 11 wins, 3 losses, the former UFC bantamweight champion and former featherweight title contender. Cyborg, she's finally a UFC champion. It's finally taken place. She's finally getting the recognition. We've all known how dangerous she is, how incredible she is. But now she has a UFC title belt to justify it. I don't know if it justifies it. We knew it before. I really don't think it changed that much. But now I guess you could say she's reached the pinnacle of the sport. She's looking for her first title defense, which is huge. She's waited so long, lots of pressure. This is a big fight opportunity for her. Big high-profile opponent, which is something she really hasn't had a lot of because fighters tend to avoid her. Holly Holm's not one of those fighters. Holm, former champion, both in mixed martial arts and boxing, did it at the expense, when she won her mixed martial arts title, did it at the expense of an unstoppable champion. Can she do it again? A lot of people saying this could be the opportunity for her to go down as the greatest women's fighter of all time by taking out Cyborg, adding that to Ronda Rousey. It'd be damn impressive if she did. Now, she comes into this matchup having lost 3 consecutive fights before taking out Bethe Koheda. It's her second shot at 145-pound gold, so she really needs to win here and put on a good performance because she could be stuck in a tough position if she does not. Both girls are 5'8". Holm will have is 1 inch reach advantage, and she is a southpaw, worth noting. Cyborg is the younger fighter by 4 years. Now, Holm is at her best when she's countering. She played the matador against Ronda Rousey. She countered as Ronda Rousey moved forward. She made her opponent chase her and landed the better strikes and put her out of her element and eventually finished her. She manages distance exceptionally well with those kicks to attack her opponent and defend against her ability to close the gap, keeps them out of range, hits them where they can't hit her. Her kicks are better than her boxing as far as mixed martial arts is concerned. She'll use push kick to create distance, oblique kick to do damage. I like the way she throws some lead leg kick techniques. That back leg left high kick is lethal. She'll go to the body as well. And again, against an orthodox fighter like Bethe Koheda, like Cyborg, that's going to be available for her to throw. And we've seen her in time and time. She's never had a first-round knockout. And I had her knocking out Koheda. It was not a great fight until the finish came. There was a lot of issues with inactivity. But again, she wants to make her opponent wait. She wants to wait on her opponent. She wants to be there waiting for them to push forward and eventually land that knockout blow that puts them down. And sometimes it takes a couple rounds to figure out before she can land it. But again, it works for her, and I expect her to be looking for it here. When she fought Michal, she shut her down from the outside, landed good strikes, avoided the distance being closed until ultimately was closed and lost a fight she was winning. I have seen her, especially in her last fight, she'll launch forward with these 1-2 combinations. And against Jermaine D. Rondami, who's a very dangerous power striker, the original 145-pound title fight, and the original 145-pound champion, she was launching forward these 2-3 punch combinations, but her focus on not getting hit was costing her the effectiveness of her offense. She was sliding out of range and coming up short routinely time and time again because she was trying to be elusive, and it was taking her out of punching distance. we've also seen issues where her passiveness gets her in trouble. She gets pushed back routinely, time and time again, and it's not, her offensive bursts are not enough to counter that. We saw Valentina Shevchenko win the majority of the striking exchanges after the opening round. We saw Germaine de Randamie use her big power and bigger strikes, more impactful strikes, and clinch attacks to win that fight. I had Germaine de Randamie to win that matchup, by the way. Again, not to brag, but yeah, I'm bragging. We've seen issues overall when her opponent's aggressive, they push forward. Going back to Rocky Pennington. Pennington had a lot of success pushing forward and attacking her, nearly stole that fight in a matchup that Holly Holm was winning. Cyborg is damn aggressive. That's what she's going to do. She has finished 13 straight opponents, including Tanya Evinger, to capture the title. People are now looking at that fight saying, oh, there's a perfect example is that she's not the berserker everybody thinks she is. She wasn't able to put her away early, and she's not the threat she was. But I think Tanya Evinger is one badass chick, and she's tough as nails. But what we did see was Cyborg's ability to do damage over a prolonged period of time. She's not one of these girls who, if I don't finish her in the first round, I'm struggling in the second round, and I'm done by the third round. She showed she can beat the shit out of somebody for a longer period of time, and that's crucial in this sport. You must be able to win fights that don't go your way initially, or at least aren't over and out in 45 seconds. Cyborg's a physical monster. She overwhelms her opponents with both power, strength, aggression, and just dominance. Everything she throws, she can hurt opponents with, she can put them down with. She throws a nice left jab, right hook combo. Her combination striking is very good. She'll work in leg kicks, body and head kicks as well. She will brawl and look to overwhelm her opponent on the cage, especially if they want to try and be technical. Against Leslie Smith, who's another tough as nails chick. She exchanged with her until Smith went down. That's something that we're looking at here. And a lot of people are going back to that Jordina Barrs Muay Thai fight. Well, Jordina Barrs is a world-class champion. I think she's undefeated in the sport. And Cyborg went into the Muay Thai world, took her on, lost. But she showed a lot of heart. She was coming forward, she was getting tagged with big shots, and she wasn't getting knocked out. She was going down periodically. And she kept coming forward and pushing and attacking. And you have to wonder, if Jordina Barrs couldn't put her down with head kicks and everything else she was landing, can Holly Holm? Great question. A lot of people are saying that's the ultimate equalizer. If Holly Holm slams her shin upside Cyborg's head, she's going down. We saw against Lena Landsberg. Again, the big thing is too with Cyborg is what level of competition has she been facing prior to this matchup? A lot of people are saying that could be a factor here. She's not been facing good competition, or at least elite level competition. Holly Holm has been. We saw Cyborg pressing Lena Landsberg early with combinations, backing her up, using the clinch and knees, broke her down and finished her along the cage. She could use a clinch fight here. She could use takedowns here, which is something that Holly Holm, she has decent takedown defense, but she's shown if she gets put on her back, she's in trouble. Again, Cyborg has to be careful closing the distance. She needs to do it early on, I think, to avoid letting Holly Holm get her timing down, get her cadence down, figure out when her best opportunity to counter-strike is, and land one of those big kicks. But I think unless Holly Holm knocks her out, Cyborg's way too aggressive. She'll outwork her. She'll be the more impactful striker. I think Holly Holm's going to survive the distance here because she's one tough chick. But my prediction is Cris Cyborg to defeat Holly Holm and retain her title. I think Cyborg takes it by decision. So those are my 5 main card predictions for UFC 219. Again, I apologize for my voice. I sound nasally and restricted. I'm doing the best I can to get through this, hopefully, by the next time we do a show. And again, we get another 2-week break for our next show, which is kind of fun. Gets me excited for these matchups, and hopefully it does you as well. But again, thank you very much for tuning in. You can follow me on Twitter at KO_predictions. You can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on YouTube. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to follow me if you don't. You can tune in and badmouth me all the fuck if you want. People do that all the time, which is fantastic. It's fine by me. Sometimes I respond, sometimes I don't. And again, please, if I don't respond to your positive comments, I always read them and I greatly appreciate them. It's just sometimes I get caught up in being everything else I am outside of this rinky-dink thing I do. But again, thank you for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll talk to you soon. Happy New Year to you and yours. I'll talk to you in 2018. Hi.